Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Smart Trucking Live. Glad you could all join us today. Thank you for coming back. Josh Bulldog. Hello, Josh. How are you doing? We missed you there last stream. I don't know if it was us or you got our wires crossed, but we missed you not being there anyway. So glad to see you here today. Whipbone. Appreciate the donation, Whipbone. Thank you very much. He says, I'm still trucking all the time with a moving company. Can I stop by and say hi while I'm passing through Ontario? Whipbone, we're still kind of self-isolating up here, but once this pandemic passes, absolutely. Be happy to sit down and have a coffee with you, but let's wait a little while longer. Kelly Patterson, good afternoon, Kelly. Fred Besmer's here. Hey, Fred, how are you doing? Hey, Fred, you got, I asked last stream, I don't know if you caught it or not, if you remembered a guy named Barry Lefroy, and I didn't see an answer. I just wondered if you still remembered him from having that big truck that Compazio is selling. What's going on here? Tim Field. Hey, Tim. You have a question for me, says Tim. I'll see if I can dial down and find it here.
Whipbone, thank you very much for the $14 donation, by the way. Really appreciate the support to the channel. Thank you so much for that.
Yes, thank you, Whipbone. Fred asks, are you guys going to the Clifford Truck Show? We're going to try to. We haven't firmed it up yet. Haven't talked to the Lettuce King. We don't know what he's doing, but we're going to try to get there anyway. It's hot up here in Northern Ontario today. I can tell you, if it's this hot up here, I can't imagine what it's like in some other parts of the country. Just wicked, I would think. Josh says, what do you think the future of trucking is? Josh, there's always going to be trucking. What's going to be interesting is in what form trucking takes. And I think electric trucks will come to be sooner or later. I don't know if these autonomous trucks are ever really going to take off the way people thought they would. I'm sure they'll be of some limited use, but I think for the most part trucks are always going to need drivers, whether they're sitting in the passenger seat or behind the wheel. But I think they'll always need drivers. I don't think the autonomous will get to the same level that they can go without humans in every situation for years and years and years, generations. So that's what I think. But I think we'll always have trucking. And it's always going to be an important part of our economy. Kelly Patterson, you hear about the $1 billion fine against the two trucking companies down in Florida, Kelly. Yes, I was just reading about that here before we got on air. One of the trucking companies is out of Quebec. I believe it's broken the record for nuclear verdicts. Honestly, you don't know if they'll ever really collect any of that money because both the trucking companies now have all kind of disappeared. So I don't know where they think they're going to get the settlement from, but yeah, hell of a verdict, just incredible. But that shows you where things are heading, and states like Texas now are passing laws to limit the ceiling of these nuclear verdicts. So it just can't get, so wildly outrageous. Philip says, it's 100 today in Texas. The heat index is 110. Man. Kyle. Hey, Kyle, how are you doing? Pretty hot here in Missouri, I can imagine. Yeah, Missouri's always kind of hot. I don't know if it's just because it's low and flat and in the sun with not a lot of shade, but Missouri's, God, it's generally pretty warm up there, I think. Down there, I should say. Edward says, Uber's trying that with cars and they kill people. Self-driving trucks don't think is in the future. No, there have been some serious accidents with the Tesla cars, and the National Transportation Safety Board has made recommendations to Tesla to improve the safety, and so far Elon Musk has pretty much ignored their recommendations. So it's kind of interesting to see how that's going to play out, because the National Transportation Board can't make law. They can only make recommendations. And so far they're being ignored, which isn't the way it should be, but that's the way it is. Nuevo, California, Brian Walt, 102. Yep, that's warm. That's warm. Thank God for air conditioning. I don't ever remember it getting that hot years ago. Now it just seems to be, fairly common anymore, like temperatures of 100, 105. I know years ago when I used to sit in Yuma waiting for lettuce in the wintertime, it would get up into the 90s, and we thought that was incredible. But, man, now over 100 is getting to be more and more common, and not just in the southern states either. It's like, Oklahoma's seen that. Missouri's seen that. Just wild. Tim Field, hey Dave, you think there's any future in becoming a trucking instructor? Thinking of becoming one? Good question. And you know what, Tim? The industry suffers for lack of truly good trucking instructors. I think a good driver with some years of experience behind his belt could pretty much write his own ticket, because the good qualified guys are really, really hard to find. So yeah, Tim, I'd shop it around to a couple of these big trucking schools. I bet you could make a pretty healthy salary doing that.
Especially if you've got more than 2 months experience.
Yeah, Kathy says, especially if you got more than 2 months experience, and we know you do, Tim. So yeah, I think you could cut your own ticket. I can't believe what these mega carriers allow for instruction qualifications. 2-3 months experience, and they make you a trainer. It's ludicrous, and it ought to be illegal, but no one's stopping them. Here's Keith Merrifield. My luck that I'd catch the beginning of this. My brother and I are considering going into trucking as team drivers. We're both big on self-study, but would go into a trucking school be a better idea? Good question. Good question, Keith. I would say that it depends on how naturally skilled you are. Some guys can get into almost anything and just have a feel for equipment and drive it right away. And some people just can't. So you'd need to be the judge of that more than anyone else. If you and your brother are pretty competent with machinery and cars and that type of thing, I wouldn't think it would be necessary, although in some states I think they require you now to go through a trucking school. You may have to, but Kathy says she thinks it's almost U.S. wide now that you need to go through a trucking school. But you'd be the best judge of that. Myself, I didn't have any formal training like that, and I actually went for some, even though I had my license. I was grandfathered in, and then they brought that in after I had my license, and I actually went to up my skills, to improve my skills, just because I didn't feel confident. So a good school certainly never hurts if you can find a good school. Good question. Hi Dave, why does California have some of the worst drivers? Thunderstorm 87. I don't know. I'd put some of our drivers here in Ontario up against any I ever encountered in California. I think it's just a matter of opinion, but I know every state has some serious crazies. I don't ever remember finding California was any worse than some of the other spots. So good question. I don't know the answer. Good question though. I liked it. Not happy with all the trucks stopping on the side of the freeways. Be kind. No, they shouldn't be doing that. That's a bad practice. And usually the cops will roast them if they see that going on. Nope. I've got issues here with mine.
Well, how did the lettuce king get his name, Edward?
Oh, how did the lettuce king get his name? We were talking about that not that long ago, and we had we had conflicting memories of that. I recall Kathy and the Lettuce King and I and our daughter Lindsay going to Disneyland in Anaheim, and the Lettuce King standing on the hood of his truck posing with a cape behind him and a Mad Hatter hat. And I thought at that point Kathy started calling him the Lettuce King. But when we were talking about it with him, he recalled buying a hat off a guy driving a fork truck out in California that was loading him, and the hat said Lettuce King. And he looked at it right away and said, what do you want for that hat? I'll pay you $20, $30, $40, whatever you want. I got to have that hat. And he bought the hat and wore it around proudly. So we have conflicting memories on how that went. And he was the king of produce, but then it just kind of morphed into the Lettuce King. And he already had the lettuce green car at that point, so maybe that was part of it. What about that shooting in Knoxville, Tennessee? The two YRC drivers, one shot the other, and the other driver is dead, and now the other driver is going to do some time by his CDL licenses. Daniel Meredith, I didn't hear about that. The two of them just got into a conflict in the yard or someplace, and the one shot the other? I did not know about that. That's just tragic. I don't even know what to say about that. Whipbone. Here in Labrador, the rules are relaxed. There's no cases. Whipbone, you know what? They can't even make up their minds here what kind of a situation we're in. 1 minute they're mandating the mask, the next minute they're not. 1 minute they're letting you into restaurants, the next minute they're not. They just cannot decide here. It's been very poorly handled. Jeff Rees, in my opinion, professionalism in this industry is fading away. That's across the board with both the new and the veteran drivers. Jeff, I hate to admit that I have some sense of that as well, but I do, and I don't know what the cause of that is. Happily, I still know lots of professionals out there, but it's almost as if the job isn't as valued as it used to be. Guys sense that and are reacting accordingly. But I hope that not to be the case, but it may well be the case. GP Transco's here. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. I was thinking about you guys earlier. We were Kathy and I were kind of kicking around an idea that we had, and we know that there are good carriers out there like GP Transco, and I could name a few others, and we're starting to think that maybe we should begin an active search for more carriers on your level, because you can't be the only one. Sure, and interview them and try to find out, what their standards are, how they operate, how they treat their people. Be as thorough as you people are, and as transparent as you people are, and as honest as you people are. And I think that's what drivers are looking for. And freight is on the boom, or it's on the way up. There's already a need for more drivers than are filling the seats. So I've always said find good carriers to work for. So I think what we're going to do is try to begin an active search by interviewing potential carriers to see if we judge them as being worthwhile or not. Just an idea we're kicking around anyway. But thank you for joining us after that long ramble. Thank you for joining us. I don't know if Fred ever got back to me about knowing Barry Lefroy or not. I didn't see that. No, he may be traveling. There's Riley. Good afternoon from Iowa, Riley. We're doing well. How are you doing? Dobby Farr says, "Hey, Smart Truck." Hey, back to you, Dobby. Jordan, hello from South Dakota. Oh, yeah. AKA Giant Squid 222.
No wonder. What are you doing here? Let's wait.
Red Dog 70. I hate to tell you this, but the pandemic is never going to pass. I hope you're wrong, but more and more I'm hearing that you might be right. So I don't know what to tell you. I hope you're wrong, but I know what you're saying. Light says, what do you think about Crete? I hear good things about Crete carriers. So they're on my list of carriers to talk to. But yeah, I haven't heard anything bad about them. Chicago has the worst drivers, in my opinion. Hey, Dave. Oh. What was the first year you started driving a truck? 1971. 1971. So I'm showing my age there.
I just kicked that guy out.
Ford V8, thank you very much for the $5, by the way. I appreciate the support to the stream. Thank you very much for the donation, my friend.
Hey, I just saw there's SoCal Sandman. How are you doing today? Good to have you join us. Your carrier actually is also on my list too. They're Forward Air. I hear lots of good things about Forward Air. Now, it's my understanding that that's mostly an owner-operator company, or they have company trucks as well. Let me know. But I know Forward Air always comes highly rated. You hear lots of good stuff about them. Okay. Got my laptop back here. I'm constantly breaking mine, so they have to come and fix it for me. I've answered about Crete. I think Crete's good. Smart Trucking, GP Transco says, we are not the only carrier out here that treats drivers well. There are others out there. If you created a Smart Trucking Best Carrier Alliance, that would be amazing. That's kind of what we're thinking about there. So appreciate your input on that. I'm always saying that the secret to success in trucking is to work for good carriers. Maybe I could start finding a few more of these good carriers, so guys could hook up with them.
9412V Cummins, thank you very much for the $10 dono. Appreciate that. What exhaust system do you have on your truck? Is your engine stock or modded? Thank you very much for the 10 beans.
Thank you for the donation. I've got 7-inch pipes and picket elbows that I bought from 4 States, and the engine is other than removing the emissions restriction on my 04 motor, it's stock, and basically my engine only had a turbo wastegate that I shut off, or that a cat mechanic shut off for me, and it had catalytic mufflers on it. So I got rid of the mufflers, I got rid of the wastegate, so now it basically functions just the same as a 6NZ cat. And I've got over 1 million miles on it. It's been trouble-free, passes the emissions tests, no trouble, and it's strong as hell. It'll pull stumps out of the ground. I've been very happy with it. Adam Bennett says, BTR Way is a 1099 job that doesn't pay on time. I wouldn't work a 1099 job. There are too many risks involved, and the IRS has no sense of humor. And the chances that your accountant is good enough to get you to skate through that at tax time, You know, it's a hit and miss situation. So I wouldn't work a 1099. I'd work a W-2 job, and then you're protected. Then you don't have to worry about it. SoCal Sandman, I keep hearing that COVID variants will continue as long as people don't get vaccinated. You know, SoCal, I don't think they know what to think, honestly, because you hear so many different opinions from so many different doctors, and they can't even agree among themselves. So I think the honest to God's truth is nobody really knows. I don't know why they just can't come out and admit that. Andrew says the lower mainland in BC has the worst drivers, and I'd be tempted to agree with him there, because it is friggin' dangerous down there. It's like taking your life in your hands. You pretty much want to call your insurance company before you go in there with a truck. Yeah, I've experienced that. He might be right. SoCal says Forward Air is mostly all owner-operators. However, in the last year, they have purchased a few company trucks for local and line haul work. Yeah, so I did basically have the right impression. I think almost all companies have a few company trucks that, you know, just for shunting or picking up trailers or stuff. But yeah, mostly an owner-operator company. And as I said, I've heard lots of good stuff about Forward Air. Jeffrey says, I work here at GP and even my wife likes this company. So, no, I haven't. So,
remember the time the company got sassy with me?
Yes, that's right.
Said, you're not working there.
Yes, I remember Kathy's talking about a time a carrier I was considering working with got sassy with her, and she said that was the end of that. I never even called them back after that.
I couldn't figure out why you wouldn't
So.
work there.
Yeah, so that's pretty high praise for GP Transco right there, and carriers got to remember that it's husband and wife that run the truck. It's not just the guy. It's a team effort. So it's important that they have a carrier that communicates well with the spouse.
The guy was trying to set me straight before you even started there.
Yeah, that this carrier that we were talking to, the guy pretty much tried to set her straight right from the get-go on that I would be home when that guy thought I will be home and not before, and she knew right then and there we weren't bothering to talk to that guy anymore.
I had to double check the amount of zeros on the end of that. Jacob Miller with the, yes, I am reading that right, $200. Unbelievable. That's definitely the biggest donation we've gotten in quite some time. Jacob, thank you so much for that. We're glad you enjoy the content that much that you're willing to donate that much. Thank you so much for that. Hello from Asheville, North Carolina. Is that right? Yeah, North Carolina. Currently on the home time. About to go eat Juicy Lucy's Burger Bar. A really good restaurant. If you ever want to come to the area, heck, we could afford that with the $200 now. Hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for that, Jacob. That really means a lot to us.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
man, Jacob, thank you. That's very generous, and we'll certainly remember the name of the burger joint next time we're down that way. Thank you for that, and thank you for the donation. Appreciate it. Much appreciate it. Mr. Make That Makes Sense. That's great advice on the 1099 jobs. Yeah, they've got laws in place up here to try to prevent drivers from doing that. Not that it still doesn't happen once in a while, but if they catch you, the IRS just climbs all over you, and they tell you what you're paying, and that'll be the end of that. Fred says the cure for COVID-19 is to turn the news off and Facebook. That's good advice, and that's generally what I do, frankly, anyway. So, good advice. Kelly Patterson says you'd be better off messing with the FBI than the IRS. That is the truth, man. Those IRS guys just sink their teeth into something. They never let go. Skunk Ape, smart trucking would much rather listen to your wife, and she's better looking than you. I can't argue with either point. Here, I'll put her on right now. Say hi to the audience, Kathy. But yeah, she's much better looking than I am, and a lot brighter too. Yeah, she says, yeah, she never was a trucker. That's a thinly veiled insult. Deesky says he's happy with RTI trucking. Good to know. Good to know.
Right at the top of the pin.
Tim Field says, hey, Dave, get an interview with CR England. So I kick out one of the England brothers in the ball.
That's what we're gonna do. And then if anybody declines, we're also gonna do.
That's funny, Tim, because Kathy and I were talking specifically about CR England, and the oldest brother of four now has taken over CR England, and he's kind of announcing in the press that he's reshaping how they hire drivers, and now they're not going to go for the guys fresh out of school. Now they're going to try to appeal to more experienced drivers. They're upping the pay and stuff like that. And I said to Kathy, hey, there's a guy right there that I'd like to interview. Is that the new CEO at CR England? And her comment was, well, what we should do is start a list, and those that don't want to be interviewed by us, refuse to be interviewed by us, we're going to call them out in a video and say, hey, we wanted to talk to these guys and they didn't want to talk to us. So what are they hiding there? Why is that? Why are they afraid of us? Yeah, so we're going to call out the ones that don't want to talk to us, because what would be the reason? We're just trying to help drivers find good carriers. Or maybe they know they're not a good carrier. Maybe that's why they wouldn't talk to us. We're going to find out. We're going to accumulate a list. Dave, have you ever heard of Sage Trucking School? That's who I'm thinking of becoming an instructor for. I haven't. Kathy?
Yes, I have.
Kathy
It's a chain, I believe.
has heard of them. She believes it's they have a chain of schools. So Kathy knows them. I'd go for it, Tim. Kathy says she's heard good things about Sage. You can always get back into trucking, but why not try it? Get to be home at night, stuff like that. There'd be all sorts of advantages to it. I think I'd be giving it a shot myself. Whipbone looks like he's out of here. He says, take care, everyone. Nice to see you again. It's been a while. Whipbone, thanks for dropping in. Appreciate it. SoCal Sandman says, hiring people with experience. Gee, what a concept. And he's referring to what I was talking about CR England now. I know. Who would ever thought of that? What a brilliant stroke. What an inspiration. I think CR England has wrecked so many trucks with new poorly trained drivers, and they're controlling the driving schools. And he even said in this little interview that they've gotten rid of some of the driving schools they were using. It was a good idea, 100 wrecks later. Jesus, CR England used to be a good carrier, believe it or not, and they went downhill faster than just about any other carrier I've seen, because all of a sudden they were having wrecks left, right, and center, and God, half the time they were right in Utah. They couldn't even get out of the state. It was unbelievable. So I'm glad to hear they're thinking about turning that around.
Captain Nice Guy with the $50 donation. You guys are way too generous today. Unbelievable. Thank you so much for the 50, Captain. I'd love to see an interview series. Think you'll talk to any mega carrier CEOs. Thank you again for the 50, Captain Nice Guy.
Thank you, Captain Nice Guy. And you know what? It doesn't even necessarily have to be a CEO. I'd like to talk to that guy at England, CR England. But I'd be willing to talk to anybody with any true base of knowledge that worked for the carrier, whether it was the head of recruiting or the head of safety. I just want to get a feel for what the company is. And then what I'm going to do is bounce that off of drivers that work there or have worked there, and then we'll find out where the truth really lies. But I'd be willing to talk to anybody in authority. It'd be great if the CEO would take the time. I think if he really cared about his company, he would take the time and should take the time. Probably they won't. because they're busy riding around in their Rolls Royces sipping champagne. But, I think it would be smart of them to do it because I can be mean when I want to be. I'm going to have a lot of fun with this.
Ford V8 with the 5. Thank you very much for that, my friend. If you could pick any state in the U.S. to retire to, which one would you pick? Thank you very much for the 5.
That is a tough call. Which state I'd retire in? Because I really like Wyoming. I really like Florida, but it's a little crazy these days. I used to like California, but I don't think I'd retire there now. Hawaii, Kathy and I have been to Hawaii, and it was really nice. Arizona, I'd have a hard time picking a favorite state. I don't think I could pick just one state. If I had to pick one, Arizona. There, because you can still go north to get cooler when it gets too hot. So Arizona, I guess. Tough call, though. I don't know. They've all got, there's things about them I all like, so like all of them. So, yeah. Kelly says, I'd love to see that some of you will say no because they're not going to throw softball questions all the time. I think, honestly, Kelly, I'd send them a list of the questions beforehand because I don't want to sandbag them. I just want the truth out of them. Kathy says she wants to sandbag them. I just want the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. But yeah, so I'd send them a pre-list of questions and not jump from that script just because I wouldn't want to I wouldn't want to tick them off too bad, but maybe I would. It certainly wouldn't bother me to do it. But to be fair, I'd probably send him a list of the questions first. And stick to it more or less, as Kathy says, yeah. I'm probably shooting myself in the foot right now if any of them are listening going, oh, we better tune that guy out.
You have issues, don't
Yes, I do. I am not a computer guy.
you? Dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. What have you done?
I haven't done anything.
Yes, you did something.
Kathy's trying to figure out what I've done to the laptop now.
This time.
Oh, we're switching again. Ah. How come yours shows that? Captain Nice Guy, Smart Trucking. You'd fit in right in down in Florida. My wife has family down there. If I weren't rooted to where I am now, we'd move down there. Captain Nice Guy, Kathy and I used to go to the Marco Island, Naples area of Florida, and we really, really liked it. But and yes, we took the kids. But since the pandemic and the crime rate is up in Florida now too, and that bothers me. It's part of this new left agenda or whatever the deal is. But the crime worries me. Although Naples and Marco Island were always really safe, but I certainly liked it. I certainly liked it there.
Keep going.
It's not even scrolling now. Shut up and watch. What's the one company that you will suggest a new young driver work for? And I'll suggest GP Transco because we know all about them. We know those people are honest and they're good payers. So right out of the gate, GP Transco would be my number one pick. Daniel Meredith, Montana is his favorite state. Yeah, I like Montana too. Wide open spaces, pretty country. Luciano Gattaca, I have no experience. Start with a contractor or a big company? Good question. I'd be tempted to say start with the big company, just because sometimes contractors don't pay their drivers, and you might get a more cross-sectioned look at the industry with a big carrier. So I'd choose that if those were my options.
Captain Nice Guy coming in with another donation of $10. Thank you very much for that, my friend. My wife says she wants Nick's voice as her GPS. Just saying. Nick has a fan, rather. Thank you very much for the 10 beans and the compliment. If it's any consolation, you can owe it to Kathy, because I used to do public speaking back in the day, and I didn't always have the radio announcer voice, but she kind of, after many hours of kind of whipping me into shape, so to say, I came out sounding like this all the time. So there you go. Thank you very much for the donation, by the way. It's
surprising how many comments we get on Nick's voice. We hear that a lot, so there must be something to it. Mark Sirota, your videos are great, but have the exact question about someone new starting out and where would be a good place to start. I apologize for the same question as someone else. Depending on what state you're in, Mark, the answer would vary. But if I were you, I would shop the carriers in my area, close to home, and find the ones that are doing training, and go there, because that way at least you're close to home, and it gives you an idea of exactly what you're looking at. Find something locally. Don't get tricked into these cross-country tours on the bus. We did a video on that. When are you and Mark going to be doing a video together? That is in the works. We did one and I flubbed it, so we're trying to coordinate. Kathy's going to do a script for me because I flubbed them. I don't know. I don't interview people very well, apparently. Mark was my first attempt, and I was more curious about who and what he did and who he was, and asking proper questions. So Kathy's going to do a script for me, and we're going to put that together with Mark, hopefully in the near future. But it's something I'm really looking forward to. Tim Field, Dave, Sierra England will come out and talk and lie about everything to seem like a better company. They are the worst company I ever worked for. Tim Field. Wow. Well, Tim, I'm not going to forget you said that, so we'll bear that in mind. We'll bear that in mind. Yeah, it's incredible to me that these carriers lie to drivers, knowing that the drivers come, find out what it's really like, and then leave in 3 months, and that doesn't seem to bother them. You'd think that they'd want to retain the people they have. It amazes me that they lie to drivers. And they've lied to so many drivers now. What was the research I read the other day? That there are over 1 million CDL holders in the States that have left the industry now because of the way unscrupulous carriers have handled them in the business. Think about that. They're crying driver shortage all the time, these mega carriers, and yet there's 1 million guys out there in the States alone that won't drive a truck anymore because of the way they were treated by these carriers. It blows me away. It blows me away. Wayne Blue, you did a great interview with the guy from Ice Road Truckers. Well, thank you, Wayne. Kathy, I did do a good interview with that. What's the truth?
Who wrote the interview?
Oh, Kathy. Yeah, Kathy did the script for that interview. Okay, I admit that's right. I'd forgotten that. But Kathy wrote the script for that interview, Wayne. But thank you for saying so. Appreciate it. I think I do have some skills somewhere, but we just haven't seen them yet, says Kathy. Mark says he's in Buffalo, New York. SoCal, you know what I do to help fall asleep when I've had too much caffeine in the truck? Listen to Bob Ross videos. You'll zonk right out, trust me. I don't know who Bob Ross is, but I'm going to find out as soon as we're done this show.
He's the famous painter.
The famous painter?
Painter, yes.
I didn't. How did you know that? I didn't know that.
Pretty much everyone knows that.
And he does interviews?
No, he's not with us anymore.
It says listen to Bob Ross videos.
Yeah, those are pre-recorded videos, Chief.
Oh.
He's been gone for quite some time now.
You
So,
were a fountain of well-rounded knowledge.
Well, anyone who doesn't live under a rock. Anyways, Jonathan, thank you very much for the $20. Had a load shift because the shipper left a 3-foot gap between the front of a 44K load and the trailer with no securement. Busted all rivets on the front of the trailer. Dog jumped out the front of the truck at 27 miles per hour. Saved the dog. Missed home time. Very sorry to hear about that, Jonathan. Thank you very much for the $20. Glad the dog's okay. Jeez.
Yeah. It amazes me too that shippers.
Or I hope the dog's okay. You said just save the dog. I don't know if there's any.
Oh God, don't tell me.
Yeah.
It amazes me that there are shippers that won't let you on the dock, and yet won't let you check the load. And then if the load shifts because of the way some guys loaded the trailer, you're the guy. The driver's the guy that's hung out to drive. It's nuts.
Daniel, thank you very much for the 5. Would recommend a mega carrier to get your CDL license and drive 1 year for even Swift and then find something else. Don't do a lease program for any carrier. Thank you very much for the 5, Daniel.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And you know something else I tripped across here lately, and I guess it's been going on for a while, but it just kind of filtered up to me here, was this walkaway lease deal that Prime has going now. So basically, you get to rent the truck if you want a job. And I thought, God, who in God's green earth would do that? But apparently, some people do. Unbelievable. Rent a truck just so you can have a job there. It escapes me.
Mark Byler, thank you very much for the $10 dono. Hope you're enjoying the stream. If you have any questions you want to drop in the chat, we'll be sure to read that. And SoCal, I did see your comment. It was 1995. I thought it was a while ago, but I thought I saw something in the news recently about him. So
Man.
yeah, he's been gone for over 20 years now. So a little bit behind on the 8 ball on that one there, Dave. But is what it is. Nothing new.
Well,
Wouldn't be the first time.
in my defense, it's been so long ago I've forgotten about it. No, that's not true. I never did know who that guy was. Huh? What do you know?
Get down at the top of the chart.
Mark Byler, you should look into the truckers in Australia. In Australia, they are mandating that they aren't allowed to eat and rest areas or take showers. No kidding? In Australia, they are mandating that they aren't allowed to eat and rest areas or take showers. Well, Mark, all I can say about that is that I don't imagine that any of those guys in Australia will put up with that, because we've got Australian guys that watch us and we chat back and forth with them, and they all seem like pretty competent, clever fellows. I can't see anyone in their right mind putting up with that crap. I could believe that Australia would try to mandate it because they seem to do some goofy things, but the government, I mean, but Bob Ross is better than Benadryl. Oh man. Captain Nice Guy. Bob Ross was a drill instructor when he was in the U.S. military. And I wonder if guys in the military fell asleep on him when he was a drill instructor. Bet you there was hell to pay for that. Better than Benadryl. Oh man, I'm losing my focus here now. I got to quit thinking about that for a minute. Thunderstorm 87, is the death of the manual transmission coming to an end? I don't think so. I think there are going to be guys that always want a manual. Yep, give Bob Ross a try, Dave. You'll see what I mean. He has a YouTube channel. SoCal, as soon as I get off of this thing here, when we're done this evening, I'm going to run over and check him out because you've got me just fascinated now. I've just got to check this guy out. Fernie Flores, any thoughts on movers? I did that for a little while, and that's really hard work. I think it's a tough way to earn a living, but some guys stay in it for a lifetime. Some people really enjoy it. And there is a real art to watch some of those old guys pack a moving trailer. And they can pack it so well and so tight. They go in, scan the house or the office or whatever they're moving, take a mental picture of it, and put it all together in the trailer. So it just fits. You can't even stick your fist in between some of the wrapped cartons and stuff like that. It's amazing how some of those guys can load those trailers. I've done that one already. Tim Field says, "Hey Dave, mention my name when you interview CR England. I bet they'll twitch because I called them up and called them out for all their BS before I quit." We will keep that in mind, Tim. I will do that. Tell them I'm a buddy of yours and listen to the dial tone after that. Skinny G, what's the difference between split axle trailers and regular axles? You mean spread axles, I think is what you're getting at. A regular trailer has about a 49-inch axle spread between the duals, between the two axles, usually 49, 52 inches, something like that. A spread axle trailer, in the States, the spread axle started about 10'1" or 10'4" spread. I had mine spread to a 12 actually on my 53, but when the axles are like 10 or more feet apart, and you see them a lot on reefer trailers and flatbeds, and they're beautiful to pull because they distribute the weight really well, and I really love spread axles. I wouldn't be without one, but you've got to have a dump valve on the one axle when you go to pivot and turn a tight corner, because with both axles down, they do not like to turn well, because the one axle will drive and skip. But that's what the difference is. MS says, is CR England awful? They have been, and now they're saying no more. We're changing our spots. So we'll see. They've got a long way to go to get back to be where they should be. Kyle Morris, are you guys considering interviewing Stevens Transport? Hadn't thought of them. Kathy said she had. Kathy says she keeps getting emails from Stevens Transport about their new pay package. Kyle, why do you ask that question? I don't have the greatest opinion of Stevens, frankly. And it's an old opinion. I haven't dealt with them in some time, but I'd be curious to know what your take on them is. In our day, they were famous for being the cheapest reefer freight operation on the road. Kyle says, got a new contract, $14 per ton at 33 tons a load, can do 3 to 4 loads a day, all local, seems like good pay. My truck, their trailer. I need a calculator to work that out. If any, you guys do that in your head? $14 a ton. Yeah, I'd want to work that out. I'll get back to you. I want to work that out. I can't do math on my head. I got to see it on paper. I can't do math with a calculator, Kathy says. All crappy companies used to be great in the beginning, even Swift. That's from David Ellefson. That's probably true. And these big carriers that grow more and more greedy, and it's always the guys at the bottom that take the beating when you get into carriers like that. Carriers that focus more on money than their people, and that it's amazing how often that happens. But some of these CEOs are just damn greedy, is what it boils down to. Like who needs to make a $4 million or a $9 million annual salary plus stock options plus bonuses? You couldn't spend that money in a lifetime, but oh well. Some people's kids. Australia is like England's version of Texas. That's interesting. Yeah, I've actually there's some guys we talked to in New Zealand too, and the trucking in New Zealand seems quite different than the Australian guys, what they're doing, and I'd be tempted maybe to work in New Zealand. It sounds pretty good. It sounds pretty good.
Daniel, thank you very much for another 5. I would drive the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. Hey, truck stops, watch out for dropping some roller hot dogs. Thank you very much for the 5, Daniel.
Oscar Mayer. I used to see that thing once in a while.
You should sing them the Oscar Mayer song.
Kathy thinks I should sing the Oscar Mayer song, and I'm not going to.
I know it.
Shut up and watch. There are companies that train you to attend your CDL, then keep you as an employee. They're that desperate. Well, yeah, or if Kathy's singing the Oscar Mayer Wiener song in the background here, it's hard to focus. It's Nick had never heard it. She's singing it for Nick, but that was a popular tune in my day and when we were younger. SoCal Sandman says, nobody has a good opinion of Stevens Transport. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that nothing had changed there. But yeah, it's shut up and watch. It's not necessarily a bad thing that the companies train guys to have their CDL and keep them. Maybe the guys actually turn out to be good drivers, and that's why they want to keep them. But I'm sure there are a dozen different angles to that. David Ellison, trucking companies should start rookies like an electrician, journeyman, etc. I completely agree with that. I've long supported that type of system. Like Kathy, what do you call that? What do you call that kind of system? Like electricians and plumbers go through apprenticeship and mentoring. That's what I'm looking for. I think the truck drivers should be trained in that manner. But, the big carriers don't want to spend any time or money training guys. They just want to fill the seats and pump them out in the road, whether it's safe to do so or not, and that's what they've been doing. SoCal says I should interview Swifty Swift. I don't know if I could do that interview without insulting them. I'd have to think whether I could control myself long enough to do that properly. Captain Nice Guy says... See, he knows the song. Oh, man. But I bet you won't sing it for us, Captain Nice Guy, because I wouldn't. God. Tim Field says, Sierra England can say all they want. It's a fourth-generation family-owned company. All the kids raised with a silver spoon in their mouths and are greedy as hell. Tim, that was kind of my take on it, and I've known all sorts of trucking companies that were like that. Now, I can't think of this guy's name that did the interview. He's the oldest of four boys. I can't think of his name, but he said they were all truck drivers, and I thought I've known carriers where the sons claimed they were truck drivers, and they did like a 3-hour trip and we're back, and that was good enough. They didn't really run trucks. So I'd be curious to talk to them to find out how much trucking they really did. David Elfson, I've heard Swift get $5,000 per student from the federal government. Kathy says she'd believe it too. You don't know. There's all sorts of dirty deals that go on that we'll never even find out about because we're only drivers. But I believe that all day long. It's no different up here. See, Dude 100 says, well, obviously you haven't heard of Raider Express. I have heard of Raider Express, And I haven't heard anything good about Raider Express, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I have heard of them. Jay Kearney says he's got a 10-2 spread with permits and can run 92,000 on a 5-axle rig. Probably, I'm guessing, Mr. Kearney, that is that up in the Northwest with that, or Michigan maybe. Yeah, I'm not. I'm thinking Northwest, but let me know.
Bring you current there.
Matt says it's more driving than Biden. Biden touring the Mac factory and claiming he used to drive a truck. And of course, everybody fact checked that truck. Biden never drove a truck, and they brought that out. David Ellison says Raider Express used to run 4 fuel tanks. I actually knew a lot of guys that did that myself, but it doesn't necessarily mean bad. But back when we did that, it meant that there were 3 logbooks in the truck. Kyle says, "Oh God, one of my trainers used to run for Raider Express, and he suggested Pickle Park Pete owned one of them at one point." No kidding, Kyle. Oh man. I'd love to know if that were true. I'd love to know. God knows the deals that go on behind everyone's backs. Don't have a pin at the top. Oh man, you guys are killing me. SoCal says that, yeah, and I used to fly F-22 Raptors. Bandit, sorry I'm late. No problem, man. Glad you could join us.
You are just something else today.
Kathy thinks I've got this thing mucked right up. Oh, there it is. Shut up and watch this. What about autonomous trucks? Many say that they will eat away all the jobs, and truck drivers are the first in line. Your thoughts? I don't think that autonomous trucks will ever affect driving jobs in our generation at all, because there are so many things that they cannot do. They cannot function in cities. They cannot function in bad weather. They're all in heavy traffic confuses them. Roadways that they have trouble finding the edges of. There's so many issues with them that I don't think they'll be a threat to truck drivers this generation, if ever, because the technology just isn't there. And, the technology just isn't there and won't be for quite some time. And even they're admitting that now. Kelly says, great. Now I have that song running around in my head. He's talking about the Oscar Mayer Wiener song. Yeah, that's going to be a tough one to shake, too. Yeah, you'll be up all night singing that song in your head. I'm afraid I will be, too. But, where's SoCal here? New.
2 all beef patty special sauce.
I see it. SoCal says, 2 all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, all on a sesame seed bun. Yeah, there's another one. Now you're going to be up all night, Kelly. Probably I will be too. Well, thanks, SoCal. Thanks for that. Oh, God. The Bandit Jr., in your opinion, which is a better truck? The 2018 Western Star 5700 or the 2022 Freightliner Cascadia, both with DD15 and DT12s? I'd go the Western Star over the Freightliner, just because Freightliner is such a mass-built and produced truck. I think you'd get better quality with the Western Star. That'd be the way I'd go. Uh-oh, Tim Field. They were truck drivers? Yeah, right. Wait, I remembered all sorts of stuff, even from before I was born. A sandwich is a sandwich, but a manwich is a meal. Yeah. Where's the beef?
You do the one from the Marlboro.
I'm not doing any of these songs.
Yeah,
You,
cigarette.
I don't even know that song. You sing it.
Do
I
Marlboro.
don't.
Do.
Thinking, buttered tank, thinking about switching from dry van to curtain side trailers. I live on the West Coast where they haul lots of lumber and steel with those trailers. Should I? I would. I found dry van work boring, and I think curtain sides. I never pulled curtain side, but I know lots of guys that do, and they quite enjoy them. And it's certainly better than tarping. I can tell you that because I've done that. So yeah, I would go for the curtain side and give that a try. I know lots of guys that do that, and they stay with it and they like it. Yeah, Jeff Reese says Raider Express was horrible. He worked for them in 2006. Real scumbags. John M. says, if you think Swift has lawsuits now, wait until their auto trucks crash. Yeah. Jeez. Who was it pointed out the other day? I think it might have been Mark and Trucking Answers was showing pictures of the one brother that runs Swift now. The one Knight brother, the picture of his house he's got for sale out in the desert for millions and millions of dollars. You know, like who needs a house like that? You know, but oh well. Hold the pickles, hold the lettuce. Special orders don't upset us. You deserve a break today, so get up and get away to McDonald's, SoCal. I'm gonna be no good at dinner tonight. I'm just gonna sit there and laugh all the way through it. After I check out this Ross guy that you recommended me have a look at his.
That would be good bedtime medicine for you.
Yeah. Anyway.
Take,
SoCal Sandman says, "Oh, Captain, I remember that one." Oh man.
there's one blue pinned to the top.
Wayne Blue. I heard the original owner of Swift used to work in Washington, D.C. and Washington. If that's the case, and it's gone. Here it is. I understand completely who they are. Wayne, my understanding, I can't think of the name of the guy that used to own Swift, and you still hear him spouting his opinion once in a while. But he virtually bankrupted the company at one point, and I believe part of the merger with Knight was to bail him out. But I wouldn't be taking any trucking advice from him, the former owner of Swift. Tim Field, I bet the England brothers say they were truck drivers from spending a night in the bunk while they drove teams. Yeah, Tim. It's hard to say how they qualify themselves as being real truck drivers or not. But yeah, I know what you're saying. That old boy that owns Pride, who's actually in England, who's Jeff England. He actually drove full time a lot and still drives. That's that guy. That England is a real truck driver, and he's got some of the nicest trucks around. He's got a W900A that's just immaculate, and so there is an England that actually is a truck driver and still owns a company. Road Float Express. The original founder of Swift got started working for England. I did not know that. That's interesting. I did not know that. Dave Ellefson. I met an old driver that pulled Swift flatbeds in the 70s and made Bank and Schneider oversized, paid well too. The oversized stuff at Schneider, and believe it or not, the Lettuce King actually did that for a little while early on in his career, and he made good money and had nice runs. He quite liked it there. Do I think, Andrew, do I think Walmart would be good to drive for? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I like company fleets, and Walmart has one of the best. So yes, I would blah, 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 blah. I sure would recommend them as a fleet to drive for. Captain Nice Guy throws in, he says he knows a couple of guys that work for them. They're home fairly regularly, and they make good money. So, yeah. Yep. Give them a try if you can get on there. That'd be a good outfit to work for. Well, I guess we should start to wrap it up here. It's been a hoot talking with you guys tonight. I don't know how we got into reviewing all these old commercials.
Just a little quick something to add. I've been talking to the Lettuce King here in my messaging system, and he says that they have, at the Clifford Truck Show, he was talking to the boss man at the Clifford Truck Show, and they have a table set up for Dave for autographs this weekend, so I guess he'd better be there, huh?
Oh, God.
So me and the Lettuce King are going to set up our own booth for signatures. We're gonna dress up as Batman and Robin.
Oh, God. She can go with the Lettuce King. I'm staying home now that I've heard that. So somehow I get the feeling the Lettuce King might be setting me up here, so I think I better avoid that.
And I just want to take a brief moment here to thank everyone who donated today. That really, we really appreciate that, and it helps us continue doing these streams because we really like doing them, but the donations push us just a little bit further. So thank you, Daniel, Mark Byler, Jonathan Mestrel, Captain Nice Guy, Ford V8, and Jacob Miller. Thank you, everyone who donated. I apologize if I missed anyone. My stream's not updating here for donators today, but thank you to everyone who did. We really do appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Really, really enjoyed chatting with you. I always do. Take care. Keep the rubber side down. We'll see you on the back haul. Same time, same channel. Good night, everybody.